Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We just talked about the teams with the most to prove as we head into 2025. Obviously, did not get to all of those there, so probably we'll get into those a little bit more detail tomorrow. But let's jump into the transfer portal winners and losers. From this past winter cycle, there's a whole lot of winners. There were a lot of teams that really cleaned up on the portal trail, and we'll talk about them right here. So let's jump into this. A lot of different movement has already happened. A lot of guys, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I've found has been exorbitant amounts of movement, not so much on the defensive, but plenty of guys to talk about on both sides of the ball. And the first big time winner is LSU. LSU has done an incredible job over the last couple of months, and it's been a lot of guys, but it's been a lot of guys in the positions that you badly need them in going into 2025. Because when you talk about this team, as you head into the next season, it was offensive line, it was wide receiver help, and it was DB help. Those were the things that you absolutely needed. No way, no how, or no negotiations around that. They got Barry and Brown, they got Nic Anderson, they got Destin Hill coming in at wide receiver, they got Michael Van Buren to back up Garrett Nussmeier, which might make him the best quarterback room in the entire country. Bauer Sharp and Donovan Green coming in at the tight end room are two very underrated groups that come into a loaded tight end room with Tridez Green as well in there. And then you got Thompson, you got Braylon Moore at offensive lineman. Did a really good job on the offensive side of the ball, filling all the gaps you needed. You know, you had two offensive tackles leave, you get Josh Thompson, you get Braylon Moore to help that out, and I think they're probably going to get a couple more guys if I'm being totally honest. You need some wide receivers. Barry and Brown, Nic Anderson, Destin Hill is about as good as you're possibly going to do, and then you had a backup quarterback that gives you stability in a lot of different respects, and you badly need it. And then on defense, probably the more important part of this side of the ball is Patrick Payton, Jack Pryburn, and Jamari Butler coming in on the pass rush. Patrick Payton, I think, is going to be a downright star in Blake Baker's offense or Blake Baker's defense. That's something that we'll definitely unpack. And then Mansour Deline, Jakeem Jackson, Tamarcus Coley on the back end. Just elite stuff. It's about as good as you can possibly imagine from this group right about now. They've done an incredible job, and it's been awesome to watch this unfold because this was always going to be the year. You know, you bring in Blake Baker last year. It was always going to take some time for that defense to really get in rhythm. Now you're ready to hit the ground running in 2025. You got to deliver, or you're going to be probably finding a new coaching staff around there pretty shortly. I don't know where they rank, Anthony. I think they're somewhere between 15 and 20, if I'm not mistaken. I can't exactly remember exactly where they sat, but they have a very solid class. I really like the guys they picked up, and actually, I'll do a segment next week talking about some under-the-radar guys that I've really liked the pickups from. I think they have a couple of those guys, if I'm being totally honest. So I'll get into them in a little bit more detail and give you that answer tomorrow for sure, but definitely something that they're doing more than fine in the portal, and they're doing the things that they very much need to do in the portal. Texas Tech is the other big-time winner that I wanted to talk. Oh, excuse me. I think I just skipped over my guys, Purdue. Purdue is a loser, excuse me. They lost guys like Jeffrey Emba. They lost Nyland Green, Max Clare, Will Helt, Dylan Tieneman. Ridiculous players. All of those guys are big-time players. Really, when you look back at that Purdue team, they had more talent. They had more talent than they knew to do with, apparently, because that should have been a better team. Just plain and simple. I get they were in the Big Ten, and I get the talent wasn't downright elite. There were too many guys on that team to be that bad. Just frankly, it was bad. So makes sense that they fired the head coach, and now you move forward with some very interesting problems as you move forward. If you're Barry Odom, he's been more than fine, at least keeping his head above water in this transfer portal process, but he definitely lost to more than he brought in. So going to be interesting to watch what happens there, and definitely a team that swimming uphill going into 2025. The winner is Texas Tech. They've done an incredible job, and this has been one of the more surprising things that we've seen throughout the first part of the portal, because I don't think anyone thought Texas Tech had the ability to turn up the heat to that level, and they very much did. They've done an incredible job, and it starts on the defensive side of the ball with Cole Wisniewski coming in, with you have Lee Hunter coming in, you have Romello Height coming in, but then on the offensive side of the ball, Hunter Zambrano, an Illinois State interior offensive lineman, a big-time player, Reggie Virgil, a great player from Miami of Ohio that went for over 1,000 yards last year, Quentin Joyner, a running back at USC that I just think is really special, if I'm being totally honest. And then you had another defender in Bryce Pollock. They've done an incredible job. They've really raised this team's floor. They've raised their ceiling, and they're giving them a shot. There's no doubt about that. They're giving them a shot to find a way to a Big 12 title, and I wouldn't necessarily count out the Red Raiders if I was talking right now. It's a very good group, and absolutely one that has gotten a whole lot better over the last couple of months. Oklahoma is a loser. It's been a very weird offseason for Oklahoma, so I don't want to bury them too much here because you got the quarterback. You got John Mateer, and I think you've done a number of really nice things throughout this portal cycle. But when you lose Nic Anderson, when you lose Jaleel Farouk, when you lose Bauer Sharp and Jaquez Hunter and Jackson Arnold and Dason McCullough, it's going to be a down. There's no doubt about that. There's going to be certain things that are going to have to come into place. Now, I do love some of the things that they did. I love the John Mateer addition, obviously. I love some of the things they did in the back end. I love being able to get Deion Burks to come back. So there's a lot of great things about this team. I tend to believe that they're going to have a little bit of a bounce back in 2025 and play some really good football. There's still some questions here and definitely some things that need to be figured out, but I think they've done not too bad in the portal. But when you watch all those wide receivers walk out the door, when that's your biggest issue going into 2025, hard to not put them in the loser category right about now. A winner is Oregon. They've done a great job throughout this portal cycle, and a lot of it has been across the offensive line. But we'll start with Micah Hughes, the running back from Tulane, about as good as you possibly could have done to replace Jordan James as far as I'm concerned. You got Malik Benson from FSU. Maybe one more wide receiver coming in there, but I could see Malik Benson being kind of that I'm blanking on the name right now, and I very much Trayshawn Holden. That's what I'm going for. Trayshawn Holden, he could kind of be that player for this team. And then on the offensive line, you get Isaiah World from Nevada, you get Alex Harkey from Texas State, you get Emmanuel Pregnon from USC. All great pieces that absolutely will almost absolutely be starters for you in 2025 and should be great pieces to this offense. There is the worry of a Nevada and a Texas State guy coming up to the Oregon level and being able to play right away. That'll be an interesting thing to watch. There's no doubt about that, but they've done a great job kind of filling the holes on this offense, at least as best they could. And then on defense, you get Bear Alexander, you get Taron Johnson, you get Dylan Tianeman, you get tons of guys that are going to make all types of plays for you on the back end and the front end. They've done a great job. There's no doubt about that. They've done a great job patching holes now with Dante Moore under center. You need that offensive line to be in order, and they got a kid that's I believe he's 6'6", 315, if I'm not mistaken, is Isaiah World. Terrifying individual, absolutely someone that will have an effect for Oregon this year. USC is a big-time loser, and it's one that I think they found their footing, kind of like Oklahoma. They found their footing pretty quickly overall, but I do think there are certain things that you just can't avoid. Losing Bear Alexander, losing Zachariah Branch, losing Deuce Robinson, Kyron Hudson, Quentin Joyner, and Miller Moss. It hurts. There's no way around that. But Miller Moss is a little bit different because a lot of people expected that one. But overall, you lost a ton of guys that are somewhat irreplaceable in a lot of respects. You're not going to replace a Zachariah Branch. You're not going to replace a Deuce Robinson. You're not going to get a Quentin Joyner in this cycle. They've done a good job kind of steadying the ship. You get Prince Trisham from Boise State. You get Jamal Jarrett from UGA. You get Keyshawn Silver from Kentucky. They've done enough, at least as of right now. They're going to have to do way more in spring. And as of right now, if you look at what 2025 holds, Lincoln Riley could be in the crosshairs, and if they don't deliver very, very quickly, and this portal class has a lot to do with that, they're going to be in a really bad spot in 2025. Oh, that's a good point, Anthony. The portal is kind of a confusing entity, right? There's so many people that I could say, Ohio State's a winner for keeping Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate in there. I could see Texas as a winner because a lot of people came out after their young talent over the last little bit, but it's definitely something to talk about. Yeah, Miami absolutely has done a great job getting the guys they need. They haven't necessarily gone crazy like they kind of have in a couple of past years. I don't think they feel the need to. I think they really think that we get the quality guys in here, the right guys in the right positions, our team's going to take care of the rest of it. So that's definitely a team I want to look into a little bit more detail with their transfer portal because it was a really, really fun group they put together. So maybe I'll do this again. Maybe I'll do one more winners and losers around the block later in the week, but definitely a group that has done a great job just getting the right guys. Not necessarily all the guys in the world, but getting the guys that really fit what they need and fitting their culture very well. And then you do have Auburn. Auburn's in a spot where 2025 is huge for them, and it kind of hurts that you have a lot of other teams in your conference that are doing that as well, especially your rival in Georgia and Alabama. But you move forward. You add Eric Singleton. You add Horatio Fields. You add Jackson Arnold to that offense. Absolutely can be a dangerous offense in 2025. I do think the loss of Jarquez Hunter is going to be a very big deal, if I'm being totally honest, but definitely something that's going to be huge for them and at least elevate that offense a little bit. Then on the offensive line, you get Xavier Chaplin, you get Mason Murphy, absolutely will help there. And then defensively, you get Dallas Walker from Western Kentucky, very talented edge rusher. You get Tay Seymour from Georgia Tech, tons of talent returning. I think it's going to be a much improved group. I still have some very big worries around Hugh Freeze and his ability to almost get picks by himself. I don't know how he does it, but at the end of the day, it's a team that I'm very wary about, but they've done a great job in the portal cycle thus far, and they've done a great job kind of filling the gaps they very much needed. At the end of the day, it comes down to that quarterback. Can Jackson Arnold hit the way that they need him to? And if he doesn't, it's going to get really ugly over there in Auburn, and Hugh Freeze will be at the very center of that. So that's definitely something to watch. Some of these are great groups that could lead to seasons that might have too aggressive expectations in some respects. You have some groups that are losers right now, but could really turn a corner depending on the way things fall into place over the next little bit. So that's how I see it from the winter portal cycle. Maybe we'll get into a little bit more of this throughout the week, but overall, we'll start looking forward to that spring portal cycle because it's going to be wild if you had to imagine. But that'll do it for this edition of the GSMC College Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It does make a huge difference. Also, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all the social pages for all the content and updates you could possibly need. We got great people covering every single sport you could want. So anything in the world of sports you need, come on over to GSMC and we have you totally covered. Before I do get out of here, I do want to let you guys know that this will be my last week covering the GSMC College Football Podcast. It's been absolutely awesome to cover it for you guys, and obviously been awesome to interact with a lot of you guys throughout this process. I will be here throughout the rest of the week. I will be back here tomorrow, all the way throughout Friday, but Friday will be my last show around here. So apologies. I hate to kind of drop that bomb on you, but wanted to make sure I didn't drop it 5 minutes before the last show ended. So figured I'd do it early in the week. We'll talk about it more on Friday, but very much appreciate everyone watching. I will be back here tomorrow for my fourth to last show, I suppose. So I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m.